Does that look like we're recording now? Yes.
Yep. It's on.
Okay, cool. Lovely. So,
Awesome.
so welcome, Heather. I'm Brian Knight, Melbourne, Australia. Heather's from,
I'm from Mackay, Queensland.
yep, and a couple of Aussies just, go along. Anyway, we're doing a little bit of a charting session. I don't know if you can see the harmonic scanner up there. We just sort of picked this one up. I'm just saying, Heather, so we've measured this up. So this is a Pepperstone feed from Pepperstone. Doesn't have to be. This is United States dollar and Canadian dollar on a 15-minute chart with a deep back. And we'll just do a little measurement from their CD. It's 100 and nearly 130 pips. Okay. So we're here really talking about quickfire, basic, quickfire 15, and then talking about Charlie Delta that actually flows from that. All right, so it's possibilities of trades. Now, first things first, I mean, you picked up that this was a shark, Heather, and we don't, QFs are not normally traded on a shark unless it paints to the entry line that's closest to the stop loss line. Okay? Now, that's true. Yet, we can't now at this point, we can't do a QF trade. Why not?
Because it's already gone too far.
Yeah, it's already retraced. Probably it's retraced about 15% down into it anyway.
Yeah.
So QF has sort of gone, but then there's the possibility of, a Charlie Delta from that. So we'll talk about how we can do that. USD Canadian dollar. Okay, rightio. So what we could do, we could go here and we could actually then, if we wanted to, actually we won't do that. First things first, we'll go and put a Fibo on it. And we'll just change all of that. So we don't want that, we want 0.15. We'll get rid of all of these because we know what they are anyway. We'll just put the 1 on. Yep. And go, okay. There we go. And what we might do, we might even go out there a little bit. So just wanted to highlight the fact that that's 15%. It's already come down past the 15% and back up again. So you're right, Heather. It's probably not worth it because it's already moved that 15%. We could have. Sorry?
From the D point, it's already moved, and that's where we're looking at from, isn't it?
For a QF basic and a QF 15. Let's put them together. Yep. So because that's more than 80 pips from C to D, that retracement there is more than 15%, which is great. Because what's the percentage of probability of that occurring?
That'd be, if that's 15%, that'd be 75%.
No, it's between 80 and 90% chance that will occur.
Oh, 80 and 90%, sorry.
Yeah, it's more like 90. It's 89, 90%. So I just say between 80 and 90%, which is a damn good percentage of it coming off that D and going at least 15%. So if we measure that as a pip measurement, if we got into that trade right when it hit D and it came down to 15%, that's 17 pips.
Yeah. Now.
173, but 17.
Yeah. We're talking about pips, Brian, and the difference between the quickfire and the Charlie Delta. What is the, because I know with the quickfire we do 10 and 10, 10 for the stop loss and 10 for the take profit with our quickfire. And for this one, how do we balance that out with our pips, with our stop loss?
Yeah, well, it's a little bit more I want to explain though, because it's not, they're still using, both of them are still using harmonic scanner, but there are sort of different components that need to actually be taken into account.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll stay with that. You're talking about Charlie Delta. I'm just talking about quick fire. It's already done. Past, she's already yelled out. So it's finished as far as the QF or QF basic, QF 15% is concerned. And that's okay. But it doesn't mean that we've lost all chances of being able to get another trade out of it, because it's already touched, there's X, A, B, C, D. There's a whole pattern of Fibonacci-ness in there. And if I go now and I grab the fork, now we'll just see how we go to put this on. Sometimes these are a bit weird and a bit sticky. Yep, that's not going to work. Right, have another go. On here, it's really hit or miss sometimes. There we go. So we've got a fork, and because it goes from X, CD, so it's a Charlie Delta X. So it's what they term a traditional Andrews traditional fork. All right. So it's not a best fit, it's a traditional. Now, when you have a traditional fork on a scan, and that's actually pointing in the right direction. So can you see that angle there is facing down? The fork has to face down. It can't face up or straight.
Okay.
Rightio?
Yep.
Now, in an Andrews traditional pitchfork, whether it's shark or what, it doesn't matter about the pattern necessarily. There is a 70, well, I'll say between 70 and 80. It's closer to 80, but let's say between 70 and 80% chance that from the point D to the middle of that fork, that it will actually travel to there in that first movement. Now, that doesn't mean we can watch this later and look at it, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer this over into TradingView anyway, because this is non-permanent as such, right? But from here to that middle line, see the middle line just there?
Yes.
From there to that middle line, there is an 80% chance that that will come down and touch that line.
At some point.
Yes, but it cannot touch. It can't come back. So this can't come back and touch that line, the outer line, or the starting 0% line. If that comes up there, then this 70 to 80% is null and void. It's one of those 20 to 30% that won't. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. So when would you know when to go in on that thing?
Well, you don't. Okay. When you go in is as soon as you get. So this is actually when you would go in, either in there, even if it retraced. Now the point to it. Remember, you asked me about, well, what's the 10 pips and 10 pips and blah blah, all of this, right? The way you work this Charlie Delta in that first instance, because we're talking about the next opportunity of a trade.
Yeah.
Yeah? Yep. So remember, the QF basic and the QF 15, we've lost the chance. It's already gone past there.
Yep.
Now we're looking at a Charlie Delta traditional fork, probability or possibility, 70% of it moving to the median line. Yeah?
Yep.
Now, I want to do something here which probably, I don't want to muck you up, but I want to,
What I suppose to try and help explain to you what I was meaning about the 10 pips
Yeah.
loss and take profit, would you still stick to, you know, even though the likelihood, let's say it's 80% that it'll go to the middle line, well, that's a lot more than 10 pips, but we don't want to chase that. We just want our 10 pips. Is this correct? Am I still on the, we're only ever chasing our 10 pips?
Hang on 1 second. Oh, is that it? Yeah, that's it. Sorry. I'm just, say that again because I just wanted to put something on.
No, righto. What I'm saying, what I meant about the 10 pip business is,
Yep.
even though we're in our second phase of the Charlie, we're into Charlie Delta now, and it's looking like we're in the second phase. So what we're saying is there's an 80%, 70 to 80% chance that it's going to reach the middle line. Okay.
Yep. That orangey one in the middle there, that this will come down to there. Yeah, there's a 70 to 80%.
That's what we're sort of counting on, and the probability of it is 70 to 80%. But what I'm saying to you is that is obviously to the middle line is more than 10 pips.
Oh, yeah, way more than 10 pips.
Now, what I'm saying is that if we're just going for the standard, I suppose it's an individual thing, but if you were just looking for your 10 pips a day every day, you know, you'd just go for your 10 pips because your likelihood of getting that is far greater than if you went for 70 pips.
Yeah, you know? and your likelihood of getting 5 pips is greater than 10 pips.
That's right. That's right. So you stick to your smaller amount of pips, but then what about your stop loss?
Yeah, well, that relates to the time frame of the chart, which we're on a 15-minute. 15-minute, the retracement slush, it's called retracement sort of a buffer, let's call it a buffer, is still 10 pips.
Yep, okay.
It doesn't matter what it is as far as the trade, it's the time frame that's the most important in relation to the buffer.
All right. Well, at the moment, personally, I'm not looking at the 1 hour because I don't know how to do that. I've only been...
Well, look, with the 1 hour, you're going to have a higher, you know, you're going to be 25 or so from a stop loss perspective because you need more movement with a higher time frame. Yeah,
that's right. I would like to get consistent in the one time frame before I worry about going on to a different time frame. You know.
Yeah. No, exactly.
I'm just saying, I'm putting that out there to people, you know, rather than jumping, because they're two different things. Like you just said, you got a 25 stop loss here and a 10% here. We want to try and keep the balance, try and keep it right, and get perfected in that 10 pip take profit, 10 pip stop loss. So you've got a good balance there. Get proficient at that. When you do and you're doing well with that, move on to a different one. But I've found, and I've experienced in the past, jumping from one to the other, back to the other, and you're still in a learning phase, you're learning, you just get all mixed up. You know, you're not good at anything yet. You're just going, bah, 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 bah.
Yeah, very good point there, Heather. I mean, that's coming from absolute wisdom and experience, you saying that. So it's good.
It's better to stick to one thing, I think, you know, and that was learnt by hard lessons.
Yeah. So let me say this again. Now, this is not, you know, this is, if you look at that currency pair right at the moment and look at where it is. So it's actually gone down to this point. You know, like it's probably a Fibonacci point, to be honest. Hang on a minute. Let's have a look and see. We'll put one on and see. Is it a 382? No, I don't think it'll be that. No, because that's on there. Sorry. Let's have a look and see. Yeah, it'll be a different Fibo point, but I'd not put it on. That there has bounced off. There's another Fibonacci line in there. It's probably around about 20 or something. We'll have a look. We'll see. We'll put one in. It's not exactly, but let's do that and see what it does. Nah, it's more than 20. 25 maybe. Oh, it's just, yeah, it's not 25 even. So there's like, 23 point something. It'll be a special 23.5 or 8 or something. But that's come down, bounced off that, gone up, gone drop a bit, then gone back up again. Now, if we just look at this little pattern in here, this has a 70 to 80% chance that will. So I just, I want to put this in a way. From a risk perspective, we need to safeguard ourselves, Heather. Okay, from a risk perspective.
Yeah.
From a trade perspective, we need to understand the possibility. Right? So how we balance that risk with the possibility is where a trade is possible. Okay, so we need to, as one of my mentors said, we need to set traps for the trade. We don't need to hunt the trades. So we need to monitor what it does and then like pounce, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So, and I want to come back to your point of 10 pips, 10 pips stop loss, 10 pips trade, as a gain, as 10 pips and being whatever that percentage, 1%, 2% of your account. Yeah?
Yep.
So let's now talk about, well, the actions of where would you get into that trade knowing that there's a possibility of it going towards that median 70 to 80% of the chance of that time. At the moment, it's like above, it's above that 15%. It's above one of the entry lines even. Yeah?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be getting in the trade now. I would get into a trade when I start to see some movements down. So this is a watch and wait situation at the moment.
So once you see a red candle starting to have form,
we need a couple. There's one red one. You can see one red one in there, but that's a bit of a. You really need to see some sort of more decisive movement down. And you and I need to remember that we're now in the Sydney session. Yeah. Not a lot happens.
Yeah.
Into the Tokyo or Asian session, it might get a little bit more active. And then into the London session, which from our time, we know what our time is for when London starts or just before London, and into the London session is where we're going to see more of that action. Now,
excuse me.
No, that's all right. So this is not about jumping into a trade. This is observing what we could get as a trade. Now, I'm taking this stage by stage. Remember, first thing is, if we're there for a quick fire, we get a quick fire. Okay?
Do you use the pitchforks on a quick fire too?
Well, yeah, I put it on, but I would transfer it over into TradingView anyway.
And with that, you're looking. Oh no, got the pitchfork, and then you got that other thing in the background there, which shows where you've marked your 15%.
The Fibonacci, yeah, the Fibonacci levels, yeah.
Yeah.
So they're the sort of the two tools that you're going to use to cross-reference things. But from a quick fire perspective, you don't need a pitchfork.
No. What about that other thing in the background?
The Fibonacci, yeah, that's a great tool for you to understand
Yeah, I wouldn't mind learning more about probably, I suppose that, because then you can sort of visually see, like at the D point, what's going on and how much movement you've got.
Well, that's the thing too. You might have seen this trade, and you actually might have got into it there. See, I move it down a bit, so you might not have got right in at the D. You might have, got in, that third candle, like not that one, not the one, but the third candle you might have got in, and you still got your 15% down to there. As soon as it got to the 15%, or 10 pips even. So let's see what that is as a measurement. Because I can tell you now, see, that's 18. But, you only need the 10. So once you got the 10, you'd be out. So the thing about it is, on a quick fire, you need to have a bit of wiggle room, like a little bit of like, hey, I didn't quite see when that was exactly at the D point. I only saw it when it was 2 candles after.
Yep.
So that's like a half an hour because they're 15-minute candles. So it could be half an hour. You saw it and you go, hey, that looks like a good one to get into, and you get in. So when you put that Fibonacci on, you'd put it on where you got into the trade.
Yep, that was going to be my next question, but you've answered that. That's good.
Yeah, because I'll say to you here, it's no good putting it up on that point because that's not the real point of where you ended and what it would be for the 15%.
No, but in my logic, what I was thinking was that was the 15% from the D point. I thought that was important. So I'm glad you clarified it.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It is in the initial assessment, Heather, but it's not. And we've got to remember, this is actually not a quick fire trade. Why not?
No, this isn't a quick fire trade because it's well and truly passed.
No. What if we got it right at that candle where D and the candle, why is it not a quick fire?
Oh, because it's a shark. I'm sorry. Yes, it's a shark.
Very good. It's a shark. 1. 2. What hasn't it done? What hasn't the D point done?
It hasn't touched the green line.
Closest to the stop loss, even if it is a shark.
It's crossed one green line, but the one closest to the stop loss it hasn't crossed.
Yeah. And
these are things that we're ticking off that it has not done, which makes our probability a lot less.
Yeah.
So you've got to make sure you've got more ticks in your boxes of what you need to have on there.
But isn't it interesting, even though it doesn't tick all those boxes, Heather, this is where the mind game comes in. Even though it didn't tick the boxes, it still retraced 15%.
Oh, yes, I see that in a lot of trades that I look at, that especially the ones, how with quickfire we're looking at 80 or more pips, right? Need to be in it. Well, I'm looking at some that are 30 and 50, and that they still retrace, but they don't. But you've got to be careful. They don't always. It looks like I have to use the measuring tool because you forget that's 30. It might be this big, but that's only 30 pips. So it's got to go 10. It's got to go a third of that, and it not necessarily does. It'll turn around for a little bit and do 2 candles, but they don't make up 10 pips even.
Yeah, correct.
And you've got to be really. It is a mind game. You've got to be mindful. You've got to be careful, and because I get caught out sometimes just in my thinking at the size of it. You know what I mean? Like, if it's this big, but it's only 30 pips, you're like, you're like, okay, it's only 30 pips in that. I could go because look, the blue candle's forming, and the blue candle can be a long candle like that, but it's only like 2 pips.
Yeah.
And you're like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
So you're right. It comes down to percentage of probability of that movement, and when all the parameters are in place. I suppose what I'm discussing with you, Heather, is that, the video we did a while back, which was really about QF and QF basic, I'm wanting to advance that to saying, well, once you get that under your belt and you realize that there are exactly all the things that you have just said, some of them are less and, some are more, but then they don't qualify, and that can be frustrating. Yet I want to show you that there are other trade possibilities that you may not be fully aware of.
Yeah. Which are these ones? Which is the shark that you wouldn't normally go for in the quick fire. Yes, in the quick fire. You wouldn't normally go for it, but now that we're using pitchforks, you can have another look at it in a different aspect.
Well, first of all, though, using Fibonacci's. So if you see that going off and it's starting to go down, it's going towards the 15, you might try and get 5 pips out of it.
Yeah.
With a 5 pip stop loss.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if it retraces on you, you get out within 1 pip or 2 pips.
Yeah.
In actual fact, the thing that I've learned, Heather, is actually having your finger on the button. You know, the big red button.
Yeah.
Get out of the trade. So it's actually better to have a lot of little losses than a big loss.
Yeah.
So let's imagine. Sorry.
Better to lose 1 pip than the whole 10 pips.
Correct. Which I've been in the previously, I would have lost lots of 10s because I'm waiting for it to do its thing. So let's use this one as a scenario, but not, it's not a quick fire, but there's a high probability of a trade in here. If that starts say that first candle, you see it's red, wait. See the next candle went blue, and then the next one red, and it started to really drop.
Yeah.
You could get into the trade there for 5 pips.
Maybe what you could do for the video purpose is to put the magnifier.
Oh, yeah, we'll make it bigger.
Just
cool.
there near the D, over the D and down there. That'll be great. People will see it a bit clearer.
There you go.
That's from my perspective because I'm looking at it as
Yeah. No, very good.
Now we can see this better.
Well, there's 15% just there. Yeah, and then it's gone below and then kept going down. So you could get in the trade around here. As you can see, this dropping, get into the trade, even if it came back up or whatever. And it actually has traveled down there. You could go for only 5 pips if you wanted to. Now, in that, you would have a 5 pip stop loss. But if it retraces by a couple of pips, you would actually get yourself out.
Yeah.
You're waiting to see. But that kept traveling down. Look at that. You would get your 5 pips without any problem whatsoever. Yeah, you probably would even get 10. So let's measure it. So if you got in, say, the middle of this red candle, and you got out as it turned back here, there's 17 pips. You would have got 10 pips there without a problem.
Yeah.
Now, if we're doing this on a demo account and we're just doing it for learning, we can have a go at a few of these.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So that's the first one. And then let's say, for example, here, say we got into the trade there, we move that down. So that's the 15%. There's still 10 in, which we know there's 17. And then it's come back up here, and then it's starting to do whatever it's doing. So what's the percentage of chance that will go 15% from here to there?
80 to 90.
Very good. Wow, that's a high probability, isn't it?
Yeah.
What happens though if it comes down 5 or whatever, it comes back up and hits there or goes up there? What's that telling you?
I don't understand the question, sorry.
Imagine we get into the trade in the same place.
Yes.
But it then starts going up and goes up to hang on, I'll move this back up again. Say we go there. Say we get into the trade there, but the next candle goes, blue, and it goes up here and touches that line. what should we be doing in here with our trade? Because remember, we've got a 10 pip stop loss.
Well,
think about the probability.
Yeah, if you
There's
think
80 to 90% probability it's going to go down to the 15. There's 10 to 20 probability it's going to go the wrong way or the opposite way. What if it goes the opposite way? What's it telling you?
probably to get out of the trade.
Yeah, bingo! It's telling you it's the 10 or 20% going the wrong way. Get out of the bloody trade.
Yep.
And get out it sooner than the 10%, the 10 pips.
Yep.
Somewhere between the 3, 4, 5 pips. Because it's telling you it's going to go the wrong way, because it's not fulfilling the percentage of the way that you've said, you know, that the probability would normally be.
Yeah, like for instance, if you went on to that last red candle before the blue incline there, if you started about halfway through that one and thought, oh, look, it's coming down, it's done 1, 2, it's on its third one, I'll go for it now.
Yeah.
Then it started to turn. If you had your 10 pips there, you would have lost them.
Correct. But the point is, I wouldn't get into the trade because you see that 15% has already been fulfilled from the D.
Okay, we're back. So what you're saying, that 15% there, you brought that 15% down before when you got into the trade, but a bit later. But did you get into the trade while it was still only in the 15% area?
Correct.
Original 15% area.
Correct.
So from below, so you've
from
got
the D point. Yeah. So the 80 and 90% that it will move 15% from the D is from the D. The only reason why I moved this is because that's where I got into the trade, and we're looking at it to try and go to that, but it may not go that far.
Righto.
So getting into the trade there, I would be measuring.
So you wouldn't have got in the trade on that last red one because you wouldn't know that's the last red one though.
No, you wouldn't have known. That's right. But I wouldn't get in because I would see that that's already past the 15%, which is 80 to 90% of it going that way. And so there's no guarantee of it going any further.
Oh, righto. So it's really within that 15% is actually where we're going to get our pips.
Correct.
15%, not outside of that 15%.
No. For quick fire or quick fire basic or quick fire 15%, exactly. It's just in that area. That's it. You cannot have a percentage. So what you said was correct before. If it starts going up the other way, it's like before
you're in that 15%, it's obviously it's not gonna go the right way.
Bingo.
Yep.
Get out.
Yep.
Limit your loss with it. So 1 pip, 2 pip, 3 pip, you know, up to 5 max, maximum 5 pip. Get out. Because the probability of it taking the whole 10 pips is much higher because it's already going into that 20% of not going 10 to 20% and not going the right way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Gotcha.
And you can also drop down your time frame to 5 minute, 1 minute to see what's happening. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really helpful. Thanks, Brian.
Good. Now, that doesn't mean all is lost. If it goes the way this has gone, you're going to get your 10 pips and get out and everything's all cool, right? We're only talking about a scenario if it starts going the other way and it proves the 10 to 20% that it's not going to go the right way and you get out, right?
Yep.
Minimize loss. This one, though, has gone the right way. So you could have actually got your 10 pips quite easily out of that 15% little buffer in there.
Yep.
It depends on when you get into the trade. That's all.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, this is what I said to you the other day, Heather. This can be really frustrating because we now have opened this chart up right at this time and we've gone, bugger. You know, the Aussie bugger.
Yeah, we could have, were there in time, coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Yeah, too bloody late, she said. Too late, she said.
Too bad, so bloody sad.
But the point is, there are still possibilities here and ongoing possibilities for trades. Okay?
Yeah.
So let's look at those. So have I hammered enough of the QF and QF15 to you?
Yes.
Good. And the percentage of it going in that direction, which it did and fulfilled the requirements, are about
90,
percentage?
80 to 90%.
Very good. And it did that. So 10 to 20%, it might flip and we're just going to get out and not lose much and realise it's the one, it just didn't fulfill. So,
yep.
Too sad, so sad, move on to the next, right?
Yep.
Now, that's good from that sort of point of view. We could have got, we didn't, and that now we're looking at this as a possibility of a trade beyond the QF and QF15. The percentage of this, and it's a little bit of a, how do I put this? It's a little bit of a sort of a positive inclination. I'm being a little elusive here, but it's a sort of a bit of a positive inclination that if that's already done the 15, then turned around, it's sort of already playing the game with us.
Yep.
Okay. It has reached. It's gone back the other way. It's gone into a buy and a little sell, then a couple of buys, and it's now going into a sell. Now, the possibility of it now going, you know, dancing or whatever, and then dropping towards the first quarter or to the middle line, they call it the median or the middle line, the percentage is.
We're talking.
So
Charlie
for this,
Delta now. We're talking
Charlie Delta now. Yeah. So because I've put a fork on, it allows us to assess the Charlie Delta aspect of this currency pair trade possibility. We've missed the, well, imagine we got the QF. Beauty, we've got a QF out of it. We've got our 10 pips. See you later. Thanks. It was all great. Thank you, mother, for the chooks, right?
Yep.
But the point is, this hasn't gone outside of the fork. It hasn't broken the Fibonacci. It hasn't come back to where the entry line is. It hasn't come back and touched the fork, which is on a down angle. So, you know, it would only have to go less to actually touch that. But the probability after it leaves D, the probability that it will dance or go down and touch this median, this quarter. See this line here is the darker green is a quarter, and then that darker one there, see that goes all the way back, that's the middle, and then there's another quarter, and then there's the bottom one further down, right? But the possibility of that coming off the D, dancing or doing whatever, and coming to that one or that one, particularly that median, is 70 to 80% chance of doing that.
So there's still a 70 or 80% chance of probability that it'll go down that way.
Absolutely. And look what it's doing at the moment.
Yep.
But hang on. There is also a 20 or 30% chance it'll do what?
It'll retrace.
It'll go back up here and break the fork or break the Fibonacci. Yeah?
Yep. This is a good training. Very good.
So what if we got into the trade now, Heather? Let's imagine on this candle, on a red sell candle to a certain extent, majority at the moment, it does have a wick above, but it is pulling down. What if we can look at this over the next whatever period of time? We can do a post one as well. And we'll transfer this over into TradingView and we'll look at it in there as well. But this has a high probability of this going down now to that quarter line or to the middle line on that pitchfork.
Yep.
Now, what if we got in the trade there, Heather? Now, I'm going to give you a little scenario. What if we together, or you in your mind, you say, shivers, that's done its little jump back. Now that's going to go towards that quarter or towards the median. I'm going to get into the trade. Oh, sorry, hang on. I don't know what that is. They're gone. So, say we get into the trade now because it's starting to go in the direction that we feel it will go. Yeah?
Yep.
What are we going to use as stop loss on it? And what are we going to use as pips to gain? We're on a 15-minute chart, I remind you.
10 and 10.
We can. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now, to be honest, we could do 10 and we could actually leave the take profit open if we wanted to. If we're going to sit here and monitor, we could get more than 10 if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But our calculation for the profit that we want on the percentage of our account will be 10 pips. Does that make sense? So if our account is $1,000 and we want 2%, that's a $20 for 10 pips, correct?
Yep.
What if that moves 20 pips and then we get out of the trade? What would we make then?
4%.
Very good, or $40. Now, the thing about it is, what if that retraces though? What if that, see it's going down? No, but what if that starts doing blue candles and starts going up by 2 pips, 3 pips, 4 pips? What would we do?
You'd hit the eject button. You would stop that trade.
Very good. Because of why?
Well, because it's now the percentage, it's the chance of it going in the wrong way is, the probability is higher now than going the opposite way.
Going the way you want it to go. Correct. Correct. Very good. Very good. Now, if you got out, say, see what it's doing, it's going up, you'd be knocked out. You'd jump out there now. I would. See how that's going up now, past where we would have entered, maybe 1 or 2 pips. I would actually get 1 or 2 pips, I'd get out, right? Bang. Which means I'd only lose $2 or something, right? And if it keeps going up. But then I'd look for another candle to see whether it'll still go down. And I'd get in the trade again with the same parameters again. Because I'm only losing $2 instead of the 10 pips, $20, waiting for it to see if it'll go up. It's already going in the wrong direction. We don't want to get into it.
Yeah.
We want to make sure it goes in the right direction and keeps going in the right direction.
Yep.
Now, this may move. Hang on a minute. I'll just try and we'll hone in a little bit closer again. I'll go in here and we'll see if we can get the number of pips. Sorry, I'll say we got into the trade there and we'll see that's, if it went up to there, that's 4 pips. I would have got out 3 or 4 pips, but I could get back into the trade if the next candle is going to be, start going in the right direction down again. So think of it like this. If we lose 2 or 3, 4 pips, and then we get a 10 or 20 because it goes in the right direction, does that 2 or 3, does that 3 times 4 pips really matter that much?
No, because we still end up with our 10 pips approximately.
Correct.
5 pips, which is what we're looking for.
Correct. Correct. Now, I can tell you now, I wouldn't get back in the trade at the moment. If I was in before, I wouldn't. So we're just talking scenarios here, all right?
No, and I think for people watching, Brian, I think I've lost my train of thought. I think for people watching, the ones that do tend to say, oh, there's not enough trades, or you know, people like that who might be possibly annoyed a little bit that they don't seem to have enough trades. This training that you're doing now shows them that there is, and even there's multiple possibilities within the one trade now as far as the Charlie Delta goes. And I think, you know, it's something to bear in mind that while there's no trades happening, you could watch something like this and be ready to pounce on it when it gets there.
Yeah, you got to set up the traps. So you're absolutely right. Thank you for pointing that out. It's a very good point. There is, I want, you know, this is not the end. I'm going to extend it onto something else as well, Heather. Sorry to do that. But there's another extension to this as well. So at the moment, I would have got scenario, I would have got into the trade there and I would have jumped out and got knocked out, right? With $2 loss or $3 loss or something, right? On $1,000 at 2%, blah, 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 whatever. If this goes up and touches that fork or goes up to that Fibonacci, then I'm out on that. Then the possibility of this coming down to that quarter or to that median has now been extinguished.
Yes, so that's that trade. It's out of, we don't even look at it anymore.
Not necessarily. We actually could, but we'll see. Because in actual fact, it may come up and just touch that fork and then start going down as well.
Yeah, but if it goes over it, then you'd pretty much...
If it breaks through, we're just going to observe, correct?
Yeah.
So, you know, we're not going to get in and out of trades all the time. And remember, this is still the Sydney session, so it's a bit, you know, lukewarm, if anything. So that's the next extension that I wanted to speak about. So this is where you could get in or out of trades and do whatever you're doing.
That on Charlie Delta?
That's only on Charlie Delta, absolutely.
And that's that training. How's that training going? Is that it finished for this session or?
No, I just want to do one extra little extension if we can.
Yep.
If that's okay. I'm just going to make this back to the way it was. Look, and we go out further. Right. Wow, you can see that nearly came down to that quarter, and then it's gone back up. It hasn't gone up to there. Now, from a pitchfork perspective, there are always, well, so not always, there is a high probability of extra trades that can be taken advantage of out of a pitchfork from a harmonic scan. If once that leaves the D point, and if it to the pip touches one of these lines, either the top one, that quarter one, or the middle one, and it does two touches, it's then going to start to show you, it's then post that is a tradable trade as well.
Righto.
So let's have scenario. Let's say this, I'm starting to go back down again. I'll go, we'll zoom in a little bit. Say, for example, let's do a couple of scenarios, and, you know, there's endless possibilities, but let's say that this trade stays within this fork. Okay?
Yep.
This hasn't touched any of these lines here. Yeah?
Yep.
It actually hasn't touched any of the Fibonacci's as such, you know, the main ones. It's danced around a bit. If that comes up and touches that fork right on that if there's a wick or candle touches that fork and then it starts going off down and it touches one of those, either that quadrant or the midline, and goes to take off, that is then a tradable trade. If it breaks through, then that's a trade for a sell. If it touches and starts taking off, that's a buy.
Righto. So if it touches that middle line, if it's gone through that line and then hit the middle line and starts to go back up, it's a trade. Yeah, it touches 2 times.
It's got to touch 2 of them. So it's either got to touch the outside.
Oh, well, they're both green. I'm trying to look at the colour of the lines. You've got a green line, then a red line. So the middle line is a red line. Is that right?
Yeah, reddy orange. Yes, yeah, correct.
Right. So it's got to have gone through that green line. Then
well, no. If it goes through the green line, is actually only a through. It has to go through, come back, touch it, and then come back down again.
Oh,
it has to do what they call a what's it called? A pass and check. So it's got to go past and then come back, check, and then go off. That is then a touch as such.
Oh, righto.
But just going through it is not a touch.
Righto. Then it comes down and goes touch or through and then back up. Or has it got to go through the bottom line?
Well, let's do this scenario. Let's say this comes up and touches that top part of the fork, comes down, goes through and goes past the green, comes back and touches it. That's 2 points that it's touched. That then is a tradable trade. So if it continues up from the green, you would put a buy on. If it starts dropping back down, you would put a sell on.
Okay, gotcha. That was a lot clearer explanation. All right.
Next scenario. This doesn't touch the top line. It comes down, touches that green one, comes past, comes back, touches it, and then goes off. That's still only 1 touch.
Yeah.
It comes down, it touches that median line, and then takes off, either up or down. That's 2 touches.
Yep, gotcha.
Yeah?
Yep. I think people will really get a grip of that and understand it. It's been a good video.
Once there's 2 touches, then that fork starts to get qualified, unless after the 2 touches it breaks out of the fork either above or below.
Yep.
Yeah, then you've got to use other tools, and I just want to be very basic with this at the moment. So
no, that's the best. That's what we're trying to do with this video, is to keep it basic and not overly too long for people, so that they can get some good value out of it, which it has been.
Yeah,
I've learned heaps. So
yeah, so I hope so. That's good.
Yeah.
So it just means that you can observe it. We're still here in observation stage with this currency pair, Heather. We're not going to be in a trade. We're just going to watch it.
Yeah.
So
are we going to stop the video? We can keep going ourselves, or do you want to stop the video at this point?
We will in a second. I just want to mention one thing. If we transfer this to TradingView,
yeah,
and we put a fork on it, we can in TradingView put an alarm. So we could actually put an alarm down here, for example, or whatever. We could put a line there, a trend line, and have it as alarm. And as this, if it comes down and touches it, it could send us a message so we know that it's going in the right direction. Then we could put a trade if we wanted to. Yeah, we could also put, you could put an alarm just underneath that top fork line. So if it comes up and goes to touch the fork line, it gives you a warning as well.
So you can get back in and watch it and get ready for it to happen.
Correct.
Yeah, that's excellent.
So that's what people going like, oh, well, yeah, well, do I have to just sit there and like peer at it all the time? No, you can put little alarms and go and look at other currencies or go and have a drink or do whatever you want to do.
Just to clarify, you can do that on TradingView with a free account?
One alarm.
One alarm at a time?
Correct. So you can put it above or below or whatever. But for the lower version, I can't remember how many alarms you can put on. I'm not sure for the lower paid one.
So when you say one alarm, you couldn't have one at the top and one at the bottom in the one.
Not on a free. Not on a free.
Okay, that's all right, as long as people understand that.
Yeah, as far as I understand.
Okay.
My TradingView account allows me to put on multiple alarms, and it sends me an email and an SMS, and an alarm comes up on the page as well.
Yep.
So I can set alarms and then be out, and then it'll send me an SMS, and I can actually go, oh, hell, it's already hit the quadrant line, you know, or the midline. It's like, wow, I better go back and look at it.
Excellent. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so we can just finish up this video now. Thank you for watching. If there's anybody in here that wants to make a comment, put a question, it'd be really nice if you just tell us where you've been watching from, the location, and, you know, in the world, and or if it's replay, if you watch it, that would be really nice. I mean, most of them will be replay, won't it? Because this is not live. It's
no, we recorded this one.
Recording. But that's okay. It's okay.
That's
and
right.
I'll upload this into YouTube as well for later too.
Yeah. So we just hope that this has been really helpful to anyone who's watching it. And like Brian said, even get in touch with Brian to say, you know, that whether it's been helpful to you, and if you've managed to do some trades using this technique, would be good for him to know, because he does put a lot of time and effort into it. So it's all gone.
Yeah, we all do. So.
All right, no worries.
All right. Let me just stop the recording now. Thank you very much for watching. Yep.